Hello, welcome to the Internet Chess Club. I am Grandmaster Miguel Illescas, and I'm going to do the video recap of games 5 and 6 of the World Chess Championship, which is taking place in Astana between the Russian player young Nepomniachtchi and the Chinese Grandmaster Liren. Let's start because these two games have been very exciting. In fact, there was a lot of expectation about game number 5 because Nepo was famous to lose his spirit after a defeat. He lost game 4 after a very good game from his opponent, and he was now with the white pieces, and it was, as I said, a very critical game to see what was his shape, what was his attitude. And well, I mean, nobody was disappointed. The Russian Grandmaster played a brilliant game and he won with the white pieces. And I have to say that there are some rumors that Vladimir Kramnik may be helping as a main coach on this match for Nepo. And all these fantastic preparations, I see some connections with Vladimir's style. You know, I was working with Kramnik for many years. I was his main coach for 8 years. And I was with him in 3 World Championship matches. And I can see his hand in some of the preparations. Let's have a look. They were playing again the Ruy Lopez, Nepo with white, Liren playing again the same, a6, bishop a4. And on move 6, we remember that in the first game, Nepo surprised his opponent with the taking on c6 and playing rook e1. Very soon, white got slightly better position, and he was showing a very good deep preparation with moves which are not so well known, not so popular, but giving good results after the opening positions, which are easier to play with white. In this game, well, I mean, he played d3. What is the point for this slow move? Well, the point is that in modern chess, nobody in the elite is allowing the martial attack. Do you know what is the martial attack? Okay, let me show you on the screen. This is the main line for centuries, I may say. But in the last 20-30 years, the move d5 became extremely popular. It's very direct. It comes with many computer analysis, a lot of complications, and black is doing very fine. I mean, the point is that after the move c6, black is coming with bishop d6, queen h4, and we can see that he's attacking the enemy king with all his pieces. Theory and practice has proven so far that black has a very good compensation for the pawn. So in the lead, nobody is allowing this martial attack, and white played d3 in this game. After a few natural moves, we reach a position where white deviated with the move a4. Here it is typical to play rook e1. One of the reasons for this rook e1 move is to prevent d5. And in fact, after a4, one possible move was d5, trying to, well, to take the initiative in the style of the martial attack. But, well, there were many other moves. Of course, Liren was taken by surprise by this move order with a4. And he could play many different ways. He went for the most principal, going with knight a5 and c5. This is getting some kind of chigoring, and if one day white plays d4, which is a very natural way to continue, not in this moment of course, but preparing it, then he will be a tempi down, comparing with the main lines. Well, after a4, it was possible to play a waiting move like h6, and to see what white wants. Sometimes white may take on b5, trade rooks on a8 and play knight a3. This is something to be considered, especially if black plays knight b8, which is also a very interesting way to proceed on the Ruy Lopez, with black trying to set up the knight on d7, where it is more flexible. But here it is a bit annoying for black to answer knight a3. Also, in some lines, white can play with the rook on f1. Sometimes he may play f4 after some move like knight h4. And well, I mean, there are some subtleties which black has to take into account. Okay, after a4, of course, if b4, then it comes a5. It is very nasty. So we go for the main line. And here, usually, it considers to be all right for black, all these kind of positions. There was one game, Firoja Giri, played in Miami 2022, last year. There, white went knight a3 and after queen d7, bishop g5. We will see that Nepo had a slightly different idea, but very similar. With bishop g5, he's now attacking the knight and he's going to play a light squares strategy. We will see. What does it mean? In the game after h6, white took and played very fast like this, and we will see his idea to enter on d5 and to play against this bad bishop. That's why during the game I thought, okay, maybe it's interesting here to answer bishop g5 with knight d7. Of course, black is happy to trade some pieces, but why not to trade bishop per bishop, which would be much more comfortable. Probably white would then go bishop e3, who knows, but that move was making some sense, knight d7. But in the game h6, take, all this long line. And when I said before that I can see Vladimir Kramnik's hand, this is the kind of position which Vladimir likes very much. And I think it was a very good choice for that game. After suffering a defeat in the previous round, this is the kind of position you can play for a win without taking any risk with the white pieces. So it was perfect for Nepo in this situation. Well, now, again, it's possible to criticize black's move, which is perfect. It's very good move, but in my opinion, a bit poor. He went rook a8, Liren. Looks very natural, but by my experience, this A line, it's not so important. And he had a good opportunity to play bishop c8. You say, well, what are you doing, Miguel? What is this move for? You will see. After white continues with knight f1, he wants to go knight e3 to control these light squares. Let's not forget that we have a bad piece here. But then we go knight e7. And if the game continues similar to what happened in the game, bishop b3 something, we have the pair of bishops. So this is very important. When we have a bad bishop, it is not so bad if we have the pair of bishops. Pair of bishops is never bad, believe me. So this was a way to play, to keep both bishops for black, and a bit more ambitious, because in that way you also have some hopes to win the game one day. But after rook a8 and bishop d8, then he shows that his idea is to play knight e7, and this is very comfortable for white. We will see. Another opportunity here, I was playing with this bad bishop all my life. Very unlucky for me, but I was playing this Sveshnikov and in the Sicilian, and very often you were left with this bad bishop. And I have some experience, and I would like to place my bishop on h6. That's why I was considering here to play something like g6 and h5. And then, okay, we have some ideas one day to get active with the bishop through h6, or even to play something like king g7 and play very safe on dark squares to get away of these problems, which later in the game we will see that black had very, very serious problems in the light squares, especially on the king side. So Liren, he went bishop d8, knight f1, and then we have this sequence, which in my opinion leaves white with a very comfortable position, slightly better. Of course, I am not saying black is worst. I am not saying Liren played badly. I'm just giving alternatives to get some more active play. Of course, if you check the computer will show 0.00 or something very similar. But white position is easier to play, especially for human. And that is very important in modern chess. Okay, so here again, I would consider g6 to get some grip on the light squares on the king side. But he went bishop b6, continuing with his idea. He wants to play c4 one day. And in fact, he will manage, and his bishop will become active. But in the meantime, white is going to make some pressure on the king side. Look, beautiful move h4. And now it's a bit too late to play h5, because all black pieces are far away from the king. And then white can start an attack, knight g5, attacking the pawn, queen f3, again making some pressure here, and then g4. And white is going to attack very fast, and black probably may collapse in a few moves here. So this proves that white got the initiative, the control on the king side, and after h4, queen c6, h5, now we can see that this knight is quite unhappy. He cannot jump, and black structure is fixed on dark squares, which is, well, I mean, a bit dangerous, especially for the control of the light squares. We will see that after c4, white played d4, which is a very good move. And now, according to the computer, black played the first slight mistake. According to Stockfish, rook d8, it is equal, okay? But, well, this is the kind of equality where black can only wait. White has all the activity, and black can only play passive moves. So this is not, I mean, very nice. Well, I have to say that after d4, queen takes e4 is not a good idea. The pawn is hanging, it's true, but white has knight c4 attacking the queen, and suddenly black is going to lose a pawn in this sequence. Quite easy. That's why Liren played e takes d4. This was according to his strategy. Now his bishop is okay. Of course, we take with the knight. Just now we have this slight advantage. The white pawn is strong. The black pawn may be weak in this open file. And we may also get some grip on light squares. Correct? As we said before, d5, f5. The white knights are ready to jump there. Black still cannot take. Of course, if queen takes e4, knight c4, this is even worse. And after queen c5, here I was watching the game live, and I thought, okay, white wants to jump to f5, but knight f5 is not probably working well because, of course, queen f2 check. And then I was thinking queen f3 just to protect f2 and go with the knight. And it's quite a good move, queen f3, especially because if queen e5, like black played in the game queen g4, queen e5, this was very important. And after queen f3, queen e5, then white has knight g4 and e5. So black should be probably slightly worse after queen f3. But in the game after queen g4, well, I mean, in fact, black has to do something, because after queen g4, white wants to jump already. This I understood later. And queen f2, king h2, and black is lost because checkmate. So this is an important variation to understand what happened next. Queen g4, queen e5, and now, well, the queen is very strong here. There is no time to go queen d7 because then black can get some counterplay. And Nepo decided to play knight f3 to drive the queen away. But of course the knight was quite happy to jump to f5, not to f3. Anyway, still he has some chances. And he played very well from now till the end of the game. He played brilliantly. Knight f5 was a very good idea. And, well, at this moment, black mixed two ideas, two defensive ideas. He could stay with something like queen f6, protect g7. And this seems to be all right for black. But okay, he took on f5, which is not bad. But at this moment, he made, in my opinion, the decisive mistake of the game. What would you play with black here? Your queen is under attack. He played, of course, in less than 1 minute, the most natural move, queen f6. It looks so natural. But it has a great problem. It gives up completely the fight for the light squares. He had to play queen d7. And now f6 is not possible. He may try to bring the bishop to f6. This was something very important. And the most important is that he's fighting for the light squares. If queen e4 to stay on d5, then we have the answer d5. this was very, very important. Liren, he didn't pay attention to this critical moment. He went queen f6, and suddenly after queen e4, white is much better. He has a clear plan, we will see, with g4 and complete domination on the light squares, with some ideas to break on the king's side, to improve his king. He has several interesting ideas here to make progress. Black is very passive. His king is in danger. And that's why he played king f8, just trying to bring the king closer to the center, maybe to help and to stay away from the diagonal. But this was also inaccuracy. His last defensive chance was queen d7. This move was very important to play rook e8. At least, okay, if you trade rooks, you are closer to the draw. f6 is not working, probably because queen g4 check. And very important, knight e5 is not working because queen e7 and the rook is under attack. So after king f8, now we understand a bit better the very clever move Nepo played. King f1. During the game I was a bit surprised, why not king g2? But now I see the point. Now he protects the rook, and if queen d7 we have knight e5. So black had to play rook very passive here. He didn't know what to do. Queen d7 is bad because knight e5. Queen c7 goes to f6. This is also tragic. And he went rook c8 waiting, and here rook b8. Maybe it was a bit better rook a8 to have some activity, but still white is much better. I mean, in the game after rook b8, g5 came, and now Nepo showed that his strong point calculation in critical moments is going very, very well, especially when he's active like here. He went take rook g4, and now the point is that if black plays f6, it comes a very beautiful refutation. Maybe you can stop the video and try to find by yourself. It's a very beautiful move for white, knight h4. The point is that knight wants to jump to g6, and if we take, then we have the move h6, and white is of course winning, taking on g7, and g8 is coming, and if g5, then we take h takes g6, and it's game over. After knight h4, black can try to escape with the king, but really white is, I mean, much, much better simply pushing his h-pawn. The king is very weak, and in fact, okay, there is no hope for black here. After rook a8, knight g5, check, and now very important, Nepo played accurately king e2. If king g2, then queen a8, black can try to trade queens. But after king e2, check, knight e4, he played very well. Now he wants some move f6, but he was preparing it. Now knight c5 is a threat, f6 is a threat, black played queen a8. But after the trade of queens, it continues the game with f6, and there is no hope for black. The bishop is completely passive, out of the battle on the king side, and if black takes, then take, and the h-pawn is winning. Let's say king a1, king g2, the rook is not able to control the pawn, and if king e7, knight g8 check, and h6, and the pawn is simply promoting. So after f6, black played g6, but very soon he resigned because white has a checkmate network, quite simple one with rook h6, and here Liren gave up the fight because knight g5 is coming, and it's going to be checkmate in a few moves. So fantastic game for Nepo. He was leading again 3-2, and now we are going to check the game number 6, which is, did you like this game number 5? It was a fantastic battle. I can tell you that game number 6 was even better. Let's go. Liren, Nepo, day 6. Well, welcome again, and we are going now to watch probably the best game so far in this World Chess Championship. Liren was again behind on the score 3-2. He needed really to play a very good game with the white pieces, trying to bounce back, and he did. He played the London system, and after the game on the press conference, he admitted that he wanted to play something with which he was very familiar to feel safe. It's very important after losing a game, of course, not losing again in in the traditional Russian school, they advised to make a draw immediately after a defeat, especially in a World Championship match. But, well, I mean, the best scenario is if you can just, especially if you have white, you can try to press without taking risk, but hoping to get something if the position becomes attractive. And this is exactly what happened in this game. Liren got very soon the kind of position he was looking for. And from a psychological point of view, I believe it was a good choice against Nepo, because the game was boring. Nepo, he enjoys when there is a lot of tactics, a lot of fight, a lot of complicated variations. But here it was more about strategy. And at least in this game 6, Liren proved that, well, that day at least he was better prepared, and he, in general, he understood better the position. We will see. I mean, they played this line of the London system, which reminds me very much of two openings. One, of course, the Caro-Kann. When we play the exchange variation, this was Fischer's favorite for a while. And Fischer was playing, of course, with white, trying to avoid the comfortable development of the bishop to f5. And even if bishop g4, Bobby Fischer was trying to attack on b7 very fast with queen b3, trying to force black to play with the bishop inside. After e6, white is slightly better because the bishop is a bit passive. By the way, this is also something which we are going to find in the Carlsbad variation of the Queen's Gambit exchange line. Look at this. We have the same type of structure, and here it is considered that if white plays like this, bishop d3, black is completely alright. And in fact, we are going to have the same in the game, but with the bishop on b4 instead of e7, and with a tempi up for black, which will be, of course, white in this game. So let's go back to the position. Now we understand a bit better what's going on in the opening. And white played here bishop b5. There are some other moves, but probably not so strong. Knight h4 is well met by bishop g4, and black is doing fine. And the main line, queen b3. Now with computers, we know that bishop d6 is very much playable, because after queen takes b7, take, check, king f8, and according to computer analysis, black is getting enough compensation, and probably white is not going to play this very much at the top level, because they know all these lines. So bishop b5 is a good try to get out of normal positions, and I could find in my database a lot of games played by Gata Kamsky. So we could tell this the Kamsky variation, because the North American Grandmaster played it with great success and with a deep understanding. It's very delicate, and we will see in this game perfectly some nuances, some things we need to know when playing this position with white or black. Here, when white plays bishop b5, we immediately start to think on strategical terms, and I would be worried with black to get my dark squares weak, because if this knight disappears for this bishop, I'm going to have a deficit on dark squares. He has this fantastic piece controlling dark squares, this also, and the knight may join by b3, and I have to be careful with black. That's why I would consider the move knight d7 in this position. This is, I think, a very interesting way to play after castle bishop e7. First of all, we stop knight h4. Most important, we get a lot of control of e5, trying to trade any knight which jumps there. We're going to exchange it. And, well, I mean, also we are very ready. If white takes on c6, we are very ready to break on c5 with the help of our knight. So I think knight d7, it's very interesting. And in this way, we are going to keep this very important bishop. We have pawns on light squares, okay? So this is our good bishop. I understand that bishop d6, which Nepo played, is also completely all right, but we are exchanging our good bishop for this guy on f4. Well, I mean, here some people was expecting bishop c6. This was played in Kamsky Abasov in chess.com. quite fresh game last year, 2022. And Gata, he went before, and this was not such a good idea because black got the initiative immediately with a5 at 94. And okay, yes, so it's true that there are some control of the dark squares, but okay, what about the light squares on white's camp? I mean, black is completely all right here. In fact, Kamsky got slightly worse. Still, he made a draw. But okay, after bishop d6, queen d6, white could try 95. Now if c5, we have queen a4 check. And after castle, we can play knight b3. And somehow, this is the kind of stuff probably white is looking for in this variation. Anyway, Liren thought this was maybe a bit too poor, and he went bishop d6, queen d6, castle, and rook e1. Here, for the first time in the game, Nepo started to think. In fact, he was already thinking something like 3 minutes to castle. And here, he was thinking 6.5 minutes to play h6. Well, I mean, this is a very typical and logical move, giving the bishop some place to hide if he's attacked by knight h4. And at the same time, we give a window for our king, and we get some control on dark squares, so it makes a lot of sense. There was a game with a6, Kamsky Martirosyan. White got slightly better in that game. It was very similar to the Liren-Nepo battle. So there were some already games played. White could have some good preparation. In fact, Liren was playing very fast. And after h6, finally he played a new move, knight e5. Again, we had a game of Kamsky. Kamsky Marcus, also an internet game on chess.com, where Kamsky played his plan a4 and a5. And this is quite interesting because it shows one of main white's idea to bring the pawn to a6. In that game, white got slightly better, and when black decided to sacrifice a piece. Okay, it's a blitz game, who cares? Okay, Kamsky won a very good game on 36 moves. The theoretical interest of this game is that white is showing what is the plan here to push the pawn, but in the World Championship, Liren, he decided first to grab the e5 square, playing knight e5, and now we can see computer is showing full equality, but we can see that white is slightly better. I mean, he has the good bishop. It goes very well with the pawns on dark squares. He has a strong knight on e5, and he's pressing with the bishop again on opponent's camp. Black is playing in his own field, and I don't care what computer says about the evaluation, but in my opinion, white is slightly better. Okay, one interesting idea here. Okay, Nepo played 97. At this point, Nepo was playing very slow, and this was probably helping Liren, first of all, to play faster, because he was anticipating Nepo's moves, and secondly, getting more confident. I mean, the game was going his way. Okay, this looks very difficult to lose, and he could press a little bit. And most important, that the kind of position was very much better for his style. He knew this position, he has played it before. Nepo didn't have so much experience on the black side. And also it's very strategical, not so many tactics. So Liren approach was perfect for this game. And Nepo was thinking a lot. Here, knight e7, it took him more than 9 minutes. Another idea, I like a5. At some point, I like to play a5 here. You may say, okay, Miguel, b5 is going to be weak. Okay, yes. But this is difficult to use for white. And then, okay, with a5, I get some control on dark squares on the queen side, and especially of b4, so white will never be able to play b4 himself. I'm not so worried, but okay, I guess that this is something which made Nepo refrain from this kind of strategy, because it's true, the white knight may one day jump to c5. It looks a bit nasty, but one day we can also drive the knight away with f6. And I'm not so sure that the black position is so bad. But okay, knight e7 is of course completely correct. But now white is free to play his plan. a4. He wants to push this pawn. If the pawn goes to a6 and black plays b6, then we will have a very interesting endgames with a pawn which is so close to promotion. That's why black usually tries to stop this pawn in this game after a6, bishop f1. And here again it was possible a5. I think this is a safe way to play, but it's true that then white can play bishop b5, and when the queen side is completely under control, you can switch to the king side. Finally, white has a strong knight on e5 and an open file in the king side, so he can try to go there to organize some attack. Well, I mean, every move has its good things and its drawbacks. Huh? Another move was queen c7, then a5. Finally, Nepo played knight d7. I didn't like so much this move because now he's losing the battle for the dark squares. We can see here the white bishop is attacking the enemy's pawn structure. The black bishop is controlling an empty square diagonal. At the same time, white has an easy plan to bring the knight to c5, and it's not so clear what is black gonna do with his own knight. Well, I mean, I think white is slightly better, but still nothing tragic. Nepo played queen c7. His idea to make some pressure on a5, also to stop b4, because he may take in on c3, and maybe he wants to play b6. I think you need to, I mean, it's better if you can find an active plan for black in these positions. I like very much Liren's next move, strategical and very, very clean. He took 10 minutes almost to play that move, and it's queen f3. It's very nice move. Two ideas. One is to give support to c3, so now again we can play plans like b4 to bring the knight to c5. And the other idea is to offer queen g3, trying to trade queens, and in that way black is going to feel, even in a more painful way, the lack of control of dark squares, because if the queen is gone, b7 is going to be weaker, and the dark squares are going to be also easier to exploit by white. Queen f3 was very nice, and Nepo was under pressure. Now b6 probably is not so good because b4, and white controls the queen side. Nepo played rook fc8, makes sense, making some pressure on c3, and again maybe preparing b6, but now white went, if knight b3, b6 probably, and that's why Liren played rook a3. And now, of course, if b6, then we can simply take and make a lot of pressure, probably finally winning a pawn on the queen side. So that's why b6 probably not working well. And here, in my opinion, Nepo started to feel very uncomfortable and to play badly. I think he made a plan, an active plan, which is probably good for his style, but it's bad for his position. I'm sorry for this joke. But he started to think that he has to break on e5. And that's why he put his bishop on g6, and his next moves were knight c6 and rook e8 and trying to break on e5. I think this is a wrong idea because it doesn't go well with black's pawn structure. After knight c6, I think, in my opinion, was more to the point. To attack immediately a5, I have the feeling that knight b3 is not going to work because bishop c2. So white is maybe tempted to play queen g3, because now if b4, then maybe we can prepare e5 in better conditions. But after queen g3, it looks pretty okay for white, slightly better, but then we show our real plan, which is to play f6 and at one point to play e5. I think this is still slightly better for white somehow, this kind of play, but black has very, very good chances to equalize because all his pieces are going to be all right, and he's going to be counter-attacking on the center. I mean, he's not going to be so passive. So this was a good idea, knight c6 to provoke b4 and then prepare e5, or to play f6, e5. But in the game we will see after bishop g6, white played knight b3, and now after knight c6, queen g3. And now we can see several problems of the bishop on g6. First of all is that we cannot, well, what white wants to jump to c5 without allowing knight a5. And that's why he offers queen g3, so telling the black queen, go away, because I want to jump to c5. And now, unfortunately for black, if queen d8, trying to keep a5 under attack, now white has a simple idea, because the bishop is badly placed on g6. So when black played here bishop g6, probably he was missing some little ideas, and his life was more difficult later after knight jumped to c5. After queen g3, okay, black could take, but this is very passive. I mean, it is playable, it's not lost, of course, but only white can play for a win here, and Nepo, he wanted to avoid this scenario. After queen e7, which was played in the game, now it was a moment for Liren to think on the position. He went very deep here, and it's interesting, his decision. He decided not to jump immediately with knight c5, but instead he went h4. He was first of all taking under control square g5 just to stop any queen g5, and secondly, sometimes he wants to make some pressure on the king side with h5, which finally happened in the game. He was thinking almost 15 minutes for this h4 move, and he provoked his opponent move rook e8, which was probably Nepo's idea. He wanted to play e5, and Liren was in general quite happy to allow him. Now it's a bit too late for black to try any counterplay. White is already better on the queen side, and that's why Nepo went for some counterplay on the center, and Liren played quite fast his original plan, rook b3, attacking on b7. According to the computer, the best move is very difficult, b4, and when black plays e4, then we go f3, and we can see that the knight on c5 is much better than the knight on c6. I think this was the point, but okay, the move which Liren played is very direct and very natural, very human, rook b3. He's forcing in fact black to take on a5 to protect b7. In exchange, we take on e5. We exchange this pawn on a5 for the central pawn on e5. This looks quite okay for white, but of course black gets some counterplay. I mean, the position gets a bit open. The bishop suddenly is quite good. It's offering the black king a very safe haven on h7, and that's why now it proves very important the move h4, because white played h5. Now in that way the bishop will not have this fantastic square in g6. It will have to find something else which is not so solid. The point is that it was probably better to take immediately on b7, because after h5 black could use the opportunity to take on e5. It's very strange, very difficult line in fact with this move, and it's a miracle that this is not working, because check, check, and it's a draw. If white tries to win, he can be even worse. Okay, so this trick was missed by both players, this rook e5, and the game continued with bishop c2 and knight d6. This is a very nice trick. Of course, the knight is taboo, because black would lose the queen. And we are approaching now the critical moment of the game, of this beautiful game, which had a very beautiful endgame. You will see, after rook takes e5, white took, queen takes b2. And here, okay, white wants to play knight e8, but black is probably safe enough in this position, because he has some perpetual, and he's in time to make a draw. That's why white played the strong move rook a5, and now knight e8 is a threat. That's why there is no time to take on c3, because now knight e8, and there is no perpetual, and white is going to be exchange up. In fact, some tactics working well for white. If king h7, knight f6 and check, and if king h8, simply take, and after take it's checkmate. So king h7 took 10 minutes for Nepo. The position was becoming very, very dangerous. White pieces ready to attack. Here, probably rook c5 was inaccurate. Probably queen e1 was better, safer. But okay, it's very passive. Of course, Liren was trying to bring his rook to the 7th rank, looking for a checkmate against this king, which is quite lonely. His pieces are very far away, and Liren wanted, of course, at this point, draw was not enough. He wanted to win the game. Here it came a decisive mistake by Nepo. He didn't take on c3. This was necessary. It was a very important pawn, but probably he thought that after knight f7, his king is not going to hold the pressure, and also probably the d pawn is going to be enough to win. With the rook on c7, white is probably better. According to the computer, black can survive, but it's very computer moves. Of course, now f6, queen e1 was good enough, and that's why he played first queen c1 check to take away this square e1 from white, and now f6. He wants to simply push the a pawn, and okay, maybe white has no time to create enough threats on the king side. Let's see, because now it comes a very nice battle. White first, it's getting some necessary pawns, and here Liren calculated fantastically. I mean, because it was very tempting to play rook c7. We attack here, checkmate, and to play this endgame. White is better with these two pawns, but a lot of fight is left. But after the move in the game, knight e3, he's cutting. The queen cannot anymore go to the square g5, and after bishop b1, rook c7, rook g8, knight d5 is coming for looking for a checkmate. In fact, there are many beautiful ideas here. One is that if black ignores the knight d5 move, he's going to be checkmated. You can find the mate in 4. Beautiful checkmate. Can you find it? Stop the video if you don't, because it's beautiful and you have to find these ideas. Beautiful Arab mate on the corner with a knight and a rook. And well, there are some other ideas. If queen g5, this is of course not enough because white is grabbing the exchange and going for a winning endgame. So after king h8, rook a7, a3, now black, white found a very beautiful, he calculated till the end, a very beautiful checkmate network. Knight e7, rook f8, this was the last move for black. I was expecting rook e8, which has more point, but okay, let's see what happened after rook f8, because rook e8 was also lost after knight g6. This kind of position is lost, but in the game he found a much more beautiful way to win. He went d5 after thinking almost 19 minutes, and now it's a checkmate. Of course, this is very poor. I mean, there is nothing to analyze there. So Nepo went a2. He knew probably the position was lost. And now we have to find the only move to win, because knight f5 is not enough. Knight g6 probably also not enough. Still white is better, but a lot of work to do. Instead, he went queen c7, a very nice move. You will see. Now the threat is knight g6. If queen g5 even, knight g6 and checkmate. So king h7 is necessary. And now knight f5 is not enough. Amazingly, here, this is not completely winning. But knight g6, what he played, it's very nice. Attacking checkmate. Black is, of course, forced to play rook g8. And now the winning move, which you can try to find if you didn't see the game, it's very nice, queen f7. Now the point is that black can never kill the knight, because this is a very famous background mate. And if he tries to push the pawn or tries to bring the queen, he's going to receive a very beautiful checkmate with the queen sacrifice and the help of the d5 pawn. Beautiful. Which of course Liren calculated in advance. Well, 2 games, 2 wins. White is showing a very good preparation when it's Nepo in the Ruy Lopez. Liren so far in this English and now this London system. So both players ready to press a lot with the white pieces. The match is 3-3. I don't know if anybody is missing Magnus Carlsen. I think this match is fulfilling all expectations between the number 2 and number 3 in the world, and I have the feeling that the public will recognize the winner of this match as a real world champion. Another thing is, if in the future Magnus wants to come back, of course the chess world will be very happy to see Magnus coming back for the crown. So far we have to pay attention to Astana. This was my analysis. I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed analyzing these games, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Don't miss it. Bye bye.